Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first iTOOsday of October, which also marks the beginning of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Hope you all are well. Please use the chat to tell us where you're from, how you're doing today, any questions you might have for our session for today. Today, we're really going to go through what is cybersecurity, what are the trends happening. We're just waiting for our speaker, so we'll start in about 5 minutes or so. But in the meantime, please greet us in the chat. And we will engage with you there.
I'm just muted. Do you want to say keep
Is the chat not working?
Questions in the questions and chat in the chat?
Everyone's chat.
Hi guys, you're not muted, but the Q&A is working, so everyone is
Is the chat
sending
not
greetings
working?
through there. No, the chat is only for presenters and
Okay, no problem.
organizers,
Yeah,
but the
so
Q&A
please-
is working for everyone.
Fantastic, thanks, Nick. So please, everyone, please use the Q&A. We'll monitor all the discussion there. I see we've got people from Namibia.
Okay, Lance has joined. Hi Lance, welcome to today's session.
How's it, Lance? Are you sorted?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, sorry, that took a while. So we do not use Teams in Novivo.
Okay.
Chromebooks and everything is browser-based. So we usually join from the browser. And this
No worries. Lance,
Yeah.
we've got 500 clients on the line, so we can chat about that later. Thank you for joining us.
Great.
We'll start as soon as you're ready, Lance. So,
All right. Let me quickly just set up my Prezo, then I'll start sharing my screen.
fantastic. Thank you. So for all those on the call, a quick question to you all to see how well you know your trivia. So as I mentioned, today is the start of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. It has been going on for quite a while. Can anyone tell me which year it first started? Put your answers in the chat, in the Q&A.
All right, I've started sharing my screen. Please confirm if you're able to see it.
Thanks, Lance. We can see your screen. So we'll get the session started. So a very good morning to everyone again on the call. Today we are joined by Lance from Know4. He will be taking us through the human risk management, enhancing user awareness. So a little bit of training for you around cybersecurity. Lance, over to you.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, once again. As introduced, my name is Lance, and I'm with Know4 Africa as a regional account executive looking after the African region. Really, mine today is to just really discuss with you what, first of all, we call human risk management and how we can enhance our user awareness. So essentially, human risk management, right? Just with any other thing, everything has a risk. We mitigate certain risks of getting hacked by using things such as antiviruses and firewalls. But then the greatest of our breach is on our users. So our user becomes a risk point, and we have to manage that risk. Hence, we have our user awareness. So we've had user awareness for time immemorial. However, now, because there's new ways of doing things, there's social engineering, which is customized hacking of us as human beings. We've now had what we call new school security awareness training, and this is where we really then enhance that user awareness bit that we'll be speaking about today. So, to add on to the trivia that was asked earlier, why hack technology if it's easier to hack a human, right? So research has shown over the years that we've actually been going through this the other way around. We've been trying to protect our users, when in actual fact our users are the ones who we need to make our way, and they protect everything else behind them. So you'll see that from a complexity hacking metrics. Here we can see on the side we have the probability or the value of a successful attack, and at the bottom we have the ease of implementation, right? So as a hacker, I would obviously want to go for where there is a high successful rate, and the ease of implementation is also easy. And as you can see, that is the human. Everything else within these 4 parameters is there. They've been doing it, but it's much more complex as opposed to just deploying a simple email or a text message to your user and try to exploit them. So then again, we see that value of the user. So this, the person we're really trying to protect in all means is the user. To put this further into context, maybe this is just so much you're trying to wrap your head around. So I have a bit of stats here to put this into an actual tangible number. 92% of successful data breaches globally start with a spear phishing attack, which is a simple email to our user. Nothing complex. That email, your take-a-lot delivery will be coming today. Please enter your details so that your driver know that it's you, and they know how to get hold of you. You put your information, and they can use it to exploit you in one way or the other. 96% of breaches in our continent, the African continent, go undetected or unresolved. So many a times we feel that, look, we are in Africa. What value does African business or does my life have? Because we're in Africa, no one's going to hack me. But we are actually in a very big hacking pandemic, and many of those things go undetected because we don't really pay close attention to it. In real time, an organization worldwide falls victim to ransomware every 36 seconds. So we've been on this call for almost 10-11 minutes now, and imagine how many 36 seconds have occurred and how many organizations have already been victims to ransomware and cybercrime. Overall, as an industry, the cybercrime industry is bound to be 10.5 trillion, to be making 10.5 trillion annually by next year. So 2025 used to sound so far, and when we were saying this early in the year, but this is 3 months away. This entire industry is going to be worth 10.5 trillion per annum. So that's very big business. And what drives the hackers to want to keep doing this, to want to keep driving this business? So there's a growing attack surface. We traditionally always used to just have one desktop, really, not even a laptop. Then it grew. We then started having our phones. We have mail access on our phones. We have company resources on our phones. We have tablets as well. We have IoT devices on our network, our cameras. So the attack surface has grown, but it's really not been overly protected. So those are some of the drivers. The sophistication of attacks. Over time, hackers have become very good at what they do. Just like any other industry, the more you're in it, the longer you become an expert. So the attack sophistication has really gotten higher, has improved, and that's tricking our users. The value of data. I think everyone here would agree with me that user information has become such a great asset to organizations. So that organizations that have data on their users, on their customers, that value is of such an exponential exponential value. So the bad actors want to get their hands on this data, so that they monetize it off of you either as ransomware or they sell it on the open web. There's been a pandemic-related shift. We barely had users or people work remotely. Now we are in a hybrid sort of phase where anyone can work from anywhere. And again, this also brings about holes in our infrastructure that the hackers exploit. There's also a lack of cyber hygiene. The mere fact that we are here talking about cyber awareness, it doesn't necessarily mean everyone is going to practice what we speak about today. So that lack of cyber hygiene and awareness is also what's driving security breaches. And this generally slow adoption of security measures. I was reading an article recently where they still mention 90% of all organizational breaches in 2023 have been reported to start and end with the user. However, organizations are only investing 3% of the total IT budget to training their users. So you'd see that's also a form of dragging our legs to really accept that we really need to make our users aware, and that's done by training. So from what I've spoken about so far, we then get to ascertain that our people are a critical layer within the fabric of a security program that we run. So whatever security program that we're going to run, wherever, be it at home, at school, in organizations, at churches, our users are the core fabric of this to be a success, and for this to happen. So to really enhance our user in managing the human risk element, we have what we call the ABCs of human risk management, right? 3 quick things: awareness, behavior, and culture. So what does awareness mean? So to create awareness, we essentially have 7 steps to use in the human risk management program. So first, we need to define our organization's awareness strategy. What are we trying to raise awareness to? Okay. Once people know this, what do they need? What do they have to do with this information? We have to provide them with the training and education for each and every user. Despite of role and title in organization, everyone is at risk. So we need to ensure that everyone is getting, the necessary armor in their minds to know how to react when they come face to face with a breach or even just a potential breach. We need to reinforce the security awareness with communications. It just shouldn't stop at training. This should be something we should, just get comfortable speaking about. Say, hey, look, there was a breach that happened last week. A, B, C, and D happened. What do you think about that? It should become our day-to-day conversations. Media has been trying, a lot to speak about that, but we are not at a level where, it's a comfortable conversations, because when someone gets hacked or an organization gets compromised, they end up paying ransomware because they're trying to hide it as much as possible, because of the stature that comes with someone saying we got hacked. We need to assess. Yes.
Sorry, can I ask you on that reinforcing security awareness and communication? How can our clients improve the communication?
Okay, so in terms of improving that communication, it doesn't necessarily have to be formal, right? We have tools that are called security hints and tips, and scam of the week. These are just quick 1-minute email read-throughs, or even just an infogram that goes out to say, oh, this week Google.com was in the news because of A, B, C, and D. It's something that they might not take even to read, like in detail or research on, but the fact that they've seen it being flagged somewhere, you've mentioned it, they've seen it in passing, when they actually then come face to face with something that says Google something, they'll be like, wait a minute, I know something happened with Google Docs and Google.com. I need to be more careful. So this is how you then reinforce some of those silent cues in your users. You don't actively just put it in their faces, but you just even put on Teams, just a pop-up, hey, it's Security Awareness Friday, watch this 30-second video. They pick out something of what's going on there, and if you continuously do this is how you get to reinforce it.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. We define and validate awareness metrics. So metrics shouldn't be anything that is really complex. A simple did you spend 1 minute reading on awareness issues this week is a metrics. Someone has got something from there, so we can start off slow in defining our awareness metrics. Then we validate them and grow them as we grow that culture in our organization. We also have to monitor the effectiveness of the security awareness program. There's no point in running a security awareness program where only 2 users are going to do it, right? We have to make it something that everyone enjoys. So we then even have gone further to create a tool that's called security culture benchmarking. So you pretty much see your organization's security culture just by asking them quick questions. You compare yourselves versus your industry peers, and you can see what you can alter or customize to make it much more worthwhile and enjoyable for your internal users. And that's how you make it effective. So you also have to monitor the effectiveness, because you just don't want. Yes, we have training, but people don't do it. It doesn't really help. It's also important to report back to the business the status of compliance and outcomes. It goes beyond just the training. Training also comes with an aspect of compliance that our users also have to carry the burden on. So it's important for us to report this, as it also shows us the return on investment, because we get to see where we started from, and where we are going as an organization or as a group of people. So essentially, what's important is for us to break down the components of our security awareness and culture program into things that are measurable and we can easily track. One of the main problems our users are facing on a daily basis is phishing, right? Essentially, phishing is opening your front door and letting the bad guys into your organization. Imagine if each and every one of us knew here that there's going to be a burglary in our neighborhood, and we would know how to follow up this trend. Obviously, we would install security cameras, we would install access control, etc. That's the same thing with phishing. We know that bad actors are going to try to trick our users into having them click on a link to deploy ransomware, malware, harvest their information. So we need to train our users on this. We need to protect our front door and not let them in. The basics of security awareness and training, essentially, as you can see, it's a cycle. So it's not a once-off silver bullet that you have, and our users are super smart, they're super aware, they know what to do. It's an ongoing process, and also because this is technology. Technology is fast moving, so is social engineering, all the bad sides of technology that also follow with it. So we need to train our users, we need to feast them, we analyze these results, we see the gaps, and we continuously train them. So it's not a once-off, we're done and we leave. It's a continuous process we have to keep doing. And the tools that are there to help you from our console perspective is we do the baseline testing. You see your baseline, then you start training from there. You set particular milestones to see how well you're tracking from where you started. We train your users, you fish your users again, and you see the results. So you need to, and I like how there's an arrow pointing down. That's lowering the risk. As you see your results, your risk lowers because your users are now becoming more aware. They know what to do and what not to do. This is just a quick research that was done to test your users when it comes to phishing. So we have what we call phish prompt percentage, which is PPP, which is our failure rate. So this was done on different organizations of different sizes in different sectors, and after phishing our users for 12 months, essentially it shows that if we do a phase 3 phishing, which is essentially constantly phishing our users, right? After 12 months, we'll end up with, in phase 1, 1 to 249, we get about 1 in every 3 employees falling for an email. In phase 2, we have 1 in 6 employees, getting falling for the email. Then when we get to phase 3, right, we have 1 in 20 to 30 employees falling for an email. So phase 3 is sort of the optimum level of simulation that we need to effect on our users to be able to get desired results and build that awareness on our users. What then this brings as an advantage to the organization is it reduces the malware and ransomware infections, data loss, there's much more increased user productivity, because many a times when someone is hacked or they suspect they are hacked, they get 1, scared, 2, depressed, 3, they go to IT, please re-image my laptop, I've been hacked. And that's a very tedious and time-consuming process for any human to go through. And above all, our users have top of mind, if security is top of mind in their minds. So the graph just pretty much shows the research which was done on 11 million users. Averagely, the benchmark 1 in every 3 users, it goes down to 18.9, which is 1 in every 6. Then after 1 year of constantly training and phishing your users, it goes down to 1 in 20 or 30 users, which is 4.6%. So we do understand, right? We have to stop and hit our users on the hand. This is a guy probably getting counseling for driving in a rather not preferred manner on the road. But let's not take it to victimize our users, because it's a teaching moment, right? We are pretty much teaching them to what to look out for so that they become better users and make much more aware, preferred decisions. So the phishing assessment best practices, we need to outline everyone's responsibility. Everyone needs to know that they have to report anything that they suspect as soon as they receive it, and not sit on it in their mailbox. We need to explain what's happening and what's the outcome. So maybe once a quarter, this is where we started. You don't name anyone, but you just give statistics of how we've been tracking, so that you also get everyone's involvement and buy-in. We provide the education via the platform, the advice, and the direction to our users. We also have to always remind them that this is not only them. It's not trying to call them out or pick on them, but we are in this together as an organization. We are here to protect where we are working, because if we don't do this, believe it or not, tomorrow we'll not have anywhere to come and call a job. We also have to involve our HR departments. They help us very much. People tend to listen more to HR departments for one reason or the other. So we really need to engage with them to get our users buy-in and commitment. And at the baseline of everything, everyone is at risk. So be it senior staff, middle staff, or junior staff, we are all at risk. The behavior, right? We really also need to spend time in managing our user behavior. So security awareness and secure behavior are not the same. These are two different things. So good example, traditional awareness programs, right? They fail to account for the knowledge, intention, behavior gap, right? So as you can see on that train, it says mind the gap, but it doesn't necessarily mean that someone is going to step on that bus or that train, they're going to mind that gap, right? That knowledge, intention, behavior gap is what the platform called KnowBe4 tries to address, because someone can just step in actually, and it's happened many a time. Someone does step in between the train and the platform, but it really does say mind the gap. So we can see the awareness is there, but the behavior in this instance is not there. So under what we need to train our users, right, in terms of behavior, is understanding the root of deception, which is our brain. So our brain's job, right, to filter, interpret, and present reality. That's all the brain and mind does, constantly ticking to do that, right? What if I told you read the top line wrong, right? Let's go. Perception versus reality. Reading. I'll give everyone just a few seconds to read that, right? My mind can actually read it all in full. The phenomenal power of the human mind. According to research at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and last letter be in the right place. The rest can be a total mess and you still read it without a problem. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. Amazing, right? And I always thought spelling was important. So essentially, this is how hackers exploit our users. They play with that mind game, right? The perception versus reality. We would probably read an entire email like this and only realize at the end that, wait, there's something wrong here, right? But they don't do it like, we did it here so that you really see the red flags. They'll probably do it with 1 or 2 words to differentiate, even from an actual email address. An email might say it's coming from Lance, Lance is my name, Lance M at knowbefore.com. They can pretty much put LNACE. It looks like it's coming from Lance. Because I know Lance, I would not even read. I will just, go ahead and give him what he's asking for. And that's where the risk lies. So our mind is split in 2 systems, right? We have the fast thinking and the slow thinking. The fast thinking continuously scans our environment. It's very fast, but it's error prone. We need to get it complete. We need to get it complete. That's why we always fall in an error. It works automatically and effortlessly. It's like second nature because it works via shortcuts, impulses, and intuition. Then we have the second part, the slow system. We usually use this for specific problems only if necessary. When you're asked something that's mind challenging, you stop to think, right? The fact that we even say you stop to think means your mind is engaging in a different system to process that. It takes effort to analyze, reason, solve complex problems, exercise self-control, right? Because you've stopped and you're now thinking about it. It's slow, but it's reliable. So the behavior that we want in our users is for system 2 to take up more than system 1, right? It's as simple. Just stop, take 2 breaths, then read the email again, right? Is that too much to ask for? It is, because our brain does not work like that. So we have to create an interchange of old habits and change, and nurture this in our users till it becomes a behavior that is in them. A topic that was asked at one presentation I attended: why is getting the desired behavior so difficult, right? And there's a tweet, or formerly Twitter X there, that X message that says 3 truths about human nature. We are lazy, social, and creatures of habit. Essentially that's what we are, creatures of habit. I see an email come through, okay, reply, send back. Right? I don't even stop to think, okay, fine, is this really what I want to say in this email? But because it's a habit, I know how to word everything, and I'll just do it from the first end of my mind. So BJ4 came up with what we call the behavior design. So he stipulated that behavior happens when 3 things come together at the same time. That's motivation, that's ability, and a prompt to do the behavior. Right, so as you can see on the graph, what's hard to do, what's easy to do, what's low motivation and high motivation. So B equals MAP, where we get the motivation, ability, and the prompt to do something. This is now when it becomes behavior, right? But we can't always stop, to think and then do. So you can also expedite your B equals MAP, become, in the habit or in the behavior of wait, open an email, breathe twice, read it again, and respond. Look at the email address. Who is it coming from? Reply to them. If it's in any way shady, give it to IT or call that person. Hey, Lance, I've received this email that you sent from me. It's quite dodgy, dude. You don't speak to me like that. Are you okay? Probably Lance will tell you, no, I never sent an email. So that's also how we then build that habit. So behavior equals habit, which is all equals to the motivation, ability, and prompt to do a behavior. So an example of this, a phishing email that a hacker sends, it has motivation, right? It has the ability, and it's prompting you to do something. So we have to now understand that under motivation, we make sure that it's not a phishing link. How? We hover over the link, look at the bottom left of your screen, see where the link is taking you. Make sure not have to do remedial training and protect the organization. The ability, you know how to find the link, and understand the makeup of a URL. What's a domain? What's a subdomain? And so on. So a domain is www.google.com. A subdomain would be www.google.com/notes, right? It's Google, but it's taking me to notes. Notes is the subdomain. So we have to know the basics of this, not in technical detail, but just the basics of telling what it is and what is not. Prompt, what should prompt you? The email may appear to be strange and not expected. The LinkedIn email is to your work and not your personal email, right? And they had training to know about the phishing emails. So this is pretty much how we circumvent the the motivation, ability, and prompt that comes as such an enticing package in a phishing email. We as users have to just remain each, each 3 points under each driving factor. We also need to nudge our audience towards the behavior, right? We can't just say, okay, yeah, we need this behavior, do it. No, we need to nudge them, to say, like, let's do this behavior. As you can see, every campaign that's been run here is to nudge us to do, to improve decisions about our health, wealth, and happiness. Landfill, the bathroom, the recycling, hey kids, free fruit, gets you taller. Measure yourself. You'll be happy like that chap there. We want to get to a drive to donate to charity, right? As soon as you're buying your food, probably you're hungry. They ask you, would you want to fight hunger? Please donate to charity. You're nudged because you are, at a point where it also matters to you at that intersection. And that's how the behavior then comes to the user. We can't just nudge them, right? We have to nudge them in the right direction. Remember, we're not catching out our users. So if they fall for an email, let's not shout at them, hey, or even beat yourselves down. It might be a you incident, right? Don't beat yourselves down. And that's why we have facilities like this. When you create your password, we have password meters, right? You put in a password, it tells you, oh, no, that's not great. Maybe let's take you to training on how to create an optimum password. Right, you've nudged training and good behavior in the right direction by making it easily accessible and available to them, and imparting knowledge to them on how to do it. And the last part is our culture. Culture is also a really important factor in this, because we are diverse. We come from diverse cultures where we do different things. So how can we create that security awareness culture in our users? So there are 3 realities of the human risk management. The first one, just because I'm aware doesn't mean I care. True. If you try to work against human nature, you will fail, because it's human nature. It's not culture, it's nature. You can never fight nature. And number 3, what your employees do is way important than what they know. Again, that's that behavior that we spoke about. I might know that, I have to stand every hour at the top of every hour for my well-being, but I know that. But will I do that? No, my Apple Health thinks otherwise. So we can get culture that people ignore, and this was quoted by John R. Childress, right? Do we have culture in our organizations? Do we have culture in our families? Do we have a security culture in our social lives? Why is culture important? So culture should align with the business mission, right? Where we want to drive our business is where our culture should be going. This is how we get our users, to understand that, fine, we're speaking of growth, right? As an organization, this financial year, we want to grow, but it's important to know that for that growth to happen, right, we need to protect things such as cyber risk, because if someone then holds our information at ransom, we are now running a loss and we're not growing that business anymore. So it's now important that, culture, security culture becomes top of mind for everyone, and we understand the risks that it brings to the bigger picture of the organization. Because anyway, to be in an organization, we are in a certain culture, we do things. So for us to get to the end goal of those things, we need to do the little things in between as well. Another research that was done, how important do you believe security culture is to your overall organization? As you can see, many people say it, right? It's very important. And this was on risk managers who influence organization security processes. And they said, look, it's very important. We need to have that culture in our organization. However, culture still remains undefined, right? I've been speaking about culture, security culture, awareness culture, but how do you exactly define it? So 24% of that is defined as the awareness and understanding of issues, of security issues. 14% of that is security advocacy and support. So from this score, we can get, 10 cyber awareness champions who will, pretty much spread word of mouth. Guys, you have to be aware, people who are passionate about this topic and want to share the knowledge. 12% security embedded in the organization, 22% security is everyone's responsibility, and 29% compliance to security policies. So this essentially is how each and every one, gave a definition of what they think security culture is. I believe they're all correct, and I believe it's a percentage of each and everything that each one of them said. So we have to then be able to bring it all together, comprehend it, and deliver it to our users to keep them safe. Security culture is then defined as the ideas, customs, and social behaviors that impact the security of your organization. So again, all that I spoke about, what the risk managers brought together, entirely can then be summarized as the ideas, customs, and social behaviors that make up the security of our particular organization. How security awareness has evolved over time. So it started from do DIY, just training, word of mouth, and you're good to go. Basic content vendors came along. Phishing simulation also was a hit a few years ago, sorry. Meaningful matrices we're speaking about, people were just about driving the matrices. We need to see this measurement, we need to see that. Then when you bring all of that together, that entire journey now comes to the security culture, right? There's an increase of the culture management from a management perspective. There's now awareness that permeates throughout the entire organization. We collectively mitigate the human risk element, and it converges with the maturation of the CISO role, right? Our senior security officer, right, is now part of his organizational intent to get not just security awareness, but the security awareness as a culture in our organization to try and manage the human risk platform of it. 7 dimensions of security culture. We have attitudes, communication, compliance, norms, and the cognition. What I feel, that's our attitude. What I say, how I communicate it. What I hear, compliance. What I see, these are the norms. And in the brain, we have cognition. What I know, and that is what you've grown up knowing always. The framework for measuring security culture. So we measure, know where you are, decide where we want to be, and we find our gap as an organization or institute. We collaborate with the entire business, because this is a culture aspect. It touches on everyone, right? And we build the messaging around that collaboration that we have. Then we engage on different topics. We make it interesting. We have activities. Whichever department has shown an improvement in culture based on these metrics is at the end of the quarter get half the day off to just rest their minds, right? And we have targets that we set ourselves. The same way we set ourselves this year, we wanted revenue, a target of 1 billion, right? We set ourselves, we want to reduce our risk or improve our security culture to this much. 5 practical ways to grow your security culture. We need to include everyone, make security relatable and accessible, offer continuous training, embrace shadow IT, rewards and encourage, right? So security culture is pretty much at the center, and these are the key aspects that we need to pretty much focus on, to really get that culture to start going or to nurture it in our users. We also need to get specific. What behaviors, if adopted, would have the most security benefit for the organization, right? Focus 2 or more 3 behaviors and 1 at a time. I would suggest 1 in a quarter, right? And is this a behavior that we have an appetite to take on right now? Or maybe, we've just started and we want to take up something smaller. So it really gets to, again, the organization and exactly where you are and what you're trying to achieve. However, in all this that we spoke of, it's not just a given one-way ticket. It's not easy, and you're not going to leave the score, implement it, advocate for it, and it will happen. We have roadblocks to all of this. There's mental biases. People believe in different things. There's poorly drafted security policy as well that occurs in the organization. Failure to lead by example, which is a very great one, right? In an organization, we always look up, follow on what management does. So that's also very important. There's not a continuous improvement model. Okay, I'm going to do training, use KnowBe4 for this quarter, and I'll do it again next year. That lack of continuous improvement and continuous challenging in your overall model can also be a very big hindrance. And also giving programs that are working against human nature. It's always advisable to start smooth, and not give a lot of information all at once to your users. Let's be soft with them, so that it remains enjoyable for them. And in that way, we are building a culture, and we are not directly attacking the human nature that is embedded in them already. Just some organizational statistics. Strong security culture leads to 52 times less credential sharing. Credential sharing is very dangerous, because if I have your credentials, I can pretty much log in and do anything under the guise of someone else's name. So as organizations improve their security culture, the risky behaviors of their employees are also reduced. A very interesting thing. It's become a culture now at most, mining, construction, a very highly industrialized organization. As soon as you get to the gate, right, as part of their safety health initiatives, they have this board that says safety first, days since last injury, 365, and it will be like, oh wow, that is great. They are doing very well. They are managing it very well. Why do we not adopt the same? Safety first, days since last cyber incident, right? Let it be 365. We have not had a recorded cyber incident in 365 days, right? Again, it's a culture that we need to build, right? It's a journey. But imagine seeing such a result, and how people would get motivated if they see the last cyber incident was yesterday. Everyone would want to do their training and get on top of it and know what's going on. So we need to be completely honest with ourselves about our goals and what our organizational culture can tolerate, or can take easily as a threat. So those are the three ABCs of human risk management. Just to recap: the awareness, the behaviors, their cultures, and how modern technology, or maybe the disadvantages of modern technology is challenging each and every one of these in every user, me included, on a daily basis. Thank you very much for your time. That's my name on LinkedIn. Happy to connect and discuss further and share ideas. Thank you very much for having me. Open for questions now.
Hi, Lance. Thanks again for that session. I think a big takeaway there are those ABCs. Are we aware? Do we have the behavior, and what is the culture? As iTOO, we spend a lot of time on our culture. How do we, what are we trying to do in the industry? How are we behaving? What are we impacting on our brokers and our clients? And I think that is the same thing we're trying to say around security, is that how are you actually taking this knowledge on? How are you behaving to each other? Is there a top-down approach? Are the managers taking it down? Are the individual employees taking it down? And then extending that into our personal lives. We've got a My Solution product for personal. How are you behaving with your families, with your colleagues? Also with your friends, Are they aware? Are you just, being online, sitting on your phones, just doing what you do because the technology is easy? And I think, Lance, you touched on it at the end there. Technology is rapidly improving, or rapidly making things easy, rapidly creating more vulnerabilities. And the question I have for you, Lance, potentially is, with things like generative AI and making phishing scams a lot more sophisticated, how can we improve ourselves as individuals to start seeing and start really being aware that something may look right, but actually does not, it isn't actually quite right? What would be some of the tips that you can share with our brokers today?
That's a very pertinent question, especially in the AI times that we're living in. So first and foremost, and these are the basics, we've rolled out training on AI, right? What is AI? First of all, how can you use AI? Because it's a good thing. Let's face it, AI is a very good thing that we will benefit from using. But also, what is the back end of AI that we need to be worried about, right? And now AI is a bit more complex, because you really need to differentiate between reality and what is not reality. So essentially, it gets back to really training our users and always just be listening. From a personal perspective, we hear about AI on the news, right? There's Gen AI. They're even creating images, right? You can have my face, speak in my voice, but that's not me. That's called a deep fake, which is another aspect of AI. So we really need to expose our users, and we've tried to create the training I was talking about to make it as engaging as possible. We even have a game where users can play a game and actually ascertain, well, that was not this person's voice. Oh my word, or this was not what the AI will create something and quote it, and it would look like it's coming from from someone's PhD study, but it's not. It's just made up. So essentially, it's just keeping your ears and eyes open, and you have to get the basics. You have to get the training first.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're living in this world where our clients keep asking us, there's all these technologies, all this deep fakes. How can they stay safe? I mean, we're an insurer. We're not the security provider. We partner with teams like KnowBe4 because you guys bring the knowledge and can share what's actually happening in the space. On that point, Lance, can you maybe give us a couple of areas that our brokers and clients should be looking out for when it comes to the latest scams? We see from a claims perspective a huge spike in BEC attacks, business email compromises.
Yeah.
We know ransomware has been continuously in the background, maybe not as successful, but the severity of the attacks when they do go through are quite high. What in your world can you say are the sort of kind of trends that we should be aware of?
Also, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there with the hammer. Business email compromise, and there's so many flavors of it, right? We have spear phishing emails. They will look like it's your boss asking you to effect a payment instantly. We have things by season. Tax season here was just completed. You get an email from SARS asking you to log in your credentials so that you can claim your money. We have Black Friday that is coming up, right? They say you've got a Checkers voucher or whatever you shop from. So that's one, and one that's a very big one. Of late, we've also seen trends on sextortion. So it's sex extortion, right? Where someone would either by AI or one way or the other get to source someone's photos that are not so publicly shareable or comfortable to share. And they would say, look, if you don't want me to share these, you have to make a payment into this account. So, we just have to be really wary of not just our photos, but also our personal information. Imagine that is, someone's banking details, username and password that is out there, and someone has access to that. So that extortion has also been doing the rounds very much. And voice phishing, where they would call you, and banks have been banks have been largely the target, but targeting their end users, where I would call you and ask you, to put in your OTP, and in that instance, either be it your bank account or your social media account. I'm actually taking over that account, getting access to it, and you feel like you're speaking to a representative from the bank or from be it Meta or X, and that has been also quite on the rise, especially in the banking sector, and it's quite scary. You then call the bank and they say, no, we never called you, and your money is gone.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lance. So on both the sextortion, I just wrote an article with Anna from KnowBe4 about young boys at school receiving messages from very pretty girls, obviously fake profiles, but not known to that victim, and then asking for suggestive messages, some, sexually explicit pictures. And the minute they share that, that's when the extortion starts. And the unfortunate part is that the young teenager is too embarrassed to admit to the parent. And I think the youngest recorded suicide was a 12-year-old from this, and it happened within 6 minutes of receiving that extortion demand. So I'm going to post into the chat section an article that we wrote, and then I co-wrote about sextortion. When we look at spoofing, we have also received a massive spike on the My Solution side, the personal cyber, and it's something as simple as somebody changing their name on Truecaller from Candace to F&B fraud division, and then calling someone and saying, you need to transfer all of your funds out. So when we saying always validate the claim, validate that they, number one, may have these naughty pictures of you, validate that you are in fact due for a refund from SARS, validate that it is F&B fraud department calling you. You don't do that by just responding to the WhatsApp or the email that you've received. Go and look for SARS genuine phone number, F&B fraud department genuine phone number, and we will be publishing my solution, my mail today, which will go out to all of our brokers that has every bank's fraud division number on there for this exact reason, because we're receiving a massive spike in these spoofed calls coming from what purports to be the bank's fraud departments, and it's just a scammer. So always try validate, just picking up the phone and saying, Lwando, did you send me this DNO proposal form? Because, I don't deal with DNO. So why are you sending me this request? Don't open the attachment, and then it's a virus that installs ransomware through your entire company. And don't call the number that's on the email. If I have somebody's number, if I have Lwando's number, I need to Google it. Rather do that than just responding blindly to emails. I think the reality is if a hacker wants to get you, they will. And they will go to the ends of the earth to do that. And especially from a corporate perspective, if it is just a simulated phishing attack, cool. But if it's more targeted, then there is very little that anyone can do to stop those hackers.
Yep, totally agree. And what happens is you can never imagine it being you, right? But in just a matter of few seconds, you'll be sitting in such a dark room and you don't know how to get assistance. So in the case that that happens to you, please don't hesitate to reach out to people like me, people like Candice, people like Lwando. We might not be able to reverse it to you, but we'll help you try and change the frame of mind that you're in. It's not the end of the world.
100%, Lance. I think that whole what happened to me is a big mental shift. I mean, we spoke about that equation B equals MAP, and I think that's really part of what we're trying to do here and start with this month. So to all the brokers on call, please engage with us. We're happy to work with you, share content, do training sessions, be in client meetings. We can put you in touch with some great teams like KnowBe4 to help you with training needs and anything else that you might require. The whole message we want here is that be aware, start understanding that this is not just a IT thing, it's really a human behavioral thing. We all have to play our part and make it a culture, make it an everyday thing, make it a value system that we have. The same way you do with what you believe in, if you're religious, or what you believe in terms of what you do in your personal capacity, security should be part of that in how you go about and do things. One last thing from myself, Lance, to you is that on the topic of motivation, and I think we see it time and time again, humans are very lazy. What tricks can us as companies or us individuals use to boost that motivating factor? Because I do believe when you showed that graph, for me, motivation was the one that stuck out. Really, that if I'm motivated, I will then engage with any topic or with any content. I will do my part. But where I like after you showed the screen where the guy said, "I know, but I don't care." How do we increase that care factor? Are there any things that you've seen through your training and through your experience that we can share with our brokers today?
Well, I mean, motivation, right? Even to come to work is always a big thing. So I mean, in that same light, you'd see that we've tried, and this is from a platform-centric basis, to include gamification. And when I say gamification, I'm not just talking about gaming content, but the ability to put your users into particular groups, so that you create that sort of competitiveness to say, okay, fine, this team has done their training much quicker than this team, they get free lunch. Obviously, that's why we need HR. That's why we get the HR budget to do that. Just get everyone involved. Also, the culture survey that I spoke about earlier, it really doesn't take time, but it really helps you gauge where your users are, right? Because it measures dimensions such as attitude, behavior, cognition, communication, etc. Then now sitting with a KnowBe4 expertise, you're actually able to tell that, okay, fine, our attitude is doing quite well, but our behavior is not changing. That's a motivation issue, right? Maybe it's because, from the knowledge that they have, we are giving them training that is too long for them. Right? No one really wants a 15-minute long training module. Let's give them a a quick two minute or 1 minute assessment, and get their insights on that. Then you bring all this together. It's no longer just training users in the dark. You're actually now systematically getting the training together based on their preferences, and you push it out to them. You'll see that you'll now have much more people willing to do that training, as opposed to saying, "Oh my word, it's Monday morning. Do I really want to go to that job?"
100%. So I think there's no more questions in the chat. I do want to leave everyone with one question though, and I think this you should really ask your clients. How many days since your last cyber incident? Do you even know? Because our security teams, our tech teams are there protecting us, but they may have seen employees sending the email to the wrong person. May have been very basic information, but there is potential poppy implications. Maybe there was an incident that you clicked on a link. You may not have given information that they wanted, but you may have fallen victim to that first initial attack. So do you know how many days since your last incident? And if you don't, please ask. Find out how you can see these things, make them more aware. And I think that's a really good point, which is using the mining industry in terms of keeping safety as a top of mind culture thing. So with that said, Candice, thank you for joining me. Lance, thank you for the great presentation, and thank you to all our brokers on call. Candice has dropped some information if you want to look at our products, look at our services in the Q&A. But if you do have our details there, please reach out to us if you want to chat on anything further. But thank you for joining us today. We will be having another cyber focus session on the 15th, where we will be talking about all things crime related. So please come through and join us for that session. So until then, thank you and enjoy your day and enjoy Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Talk to everyone and anyone you can about how secure you are and make them secure as well. Thanks once again.